You are trying to attract wealth, love, or health from the outside. Neville Goddard revealed that this is a mathematical error. Attraction implies distance. It implies that the thing you want is over there, and you are over here trying to pull it with a magnet of desire, a beam of hope, a force of visualization. This creates a vibration of separation, a permanent acknowledgement of lack. The very act of attracting confirms that you do not have. To manifest instantly, you must switch from the law of attraction to the law of assumption. Assumption does not pull things to you. It positions you inside the wish fulfilled. You do not wait for the car to come to you. You assume the driver's seat immediately. You do not beckon the crown from across the throne room. You place it upon your head and dare the universe to object. This is not semantics. This is the difference between the beggar and the king. The pain is the endless waiting. You have visualized for years and seen no movement. You have affirmations taped to your mirror, vision boards on your wall, and gratitude journals filled with ink. Yet your bank account remains frozen, your body remains sick, your lover remains absent. You are standing on the platform waiting for a train that has already left. You are trying to get to a reality that you should be coming from. The law of attraction taught you to send out signals and wait for the echo. But the echo never comes, or it comes distorted, or it comes wrapped in the opposite of what you asked for. You are exhausted. You are beginning to suspect that the law is a lie, that you are cursed, that manifestation works for others but not for you. This is the trap of distance. You have been trained to reach, and reaching is the posture of poverty. Neville Goddard promises that if you dare to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you collapse the time gap. The future becomes the present. The hard reality, which seemed fixed as stone, dissolves and reassembles around your new assumption like iron filings around a magnet that has suddenly changed poles. Assumption is not hope. It is not belief. It is occupancy. You do not believe you are wealthy. You occupy the state of wealth as you would occupy a house. You walk its rooms. You touch its walls. You breathe its air. The moment you assume, the old world loses jurisdiction. It becomes a photograph, a memory, an outdated file that the universe marks for deletion. The new world begins its construction immediately, brick by brick, synchronicity by synchronicity, until the inner assumption and the outer fact are perfectly mirrored. In this video, we will execute the identity overlay protocol. This is the precise mechanism by which you wear the new reality like a suit until it fuses to your skin, until you cannot tell where the assumption ends and your identity begins. You will learn the 3 anchors that lock the assumption into place, the sensory trick that makes imagination feel more real than the physical, and the persistent mood that becomes your silent password, recognized by every person and circumstance you encounter. But there is a trap called the imposter syndrome. Your logical mind will scream that you are lying to yourself. It will present evidence. It will cite your history. It will parade your failures like witnesses in a trial. I will teach you how to silence the logic police in Part 4. You will learn why reason is the enemy of assumption and how to commit what Neville called the most liberating crime, the denial of the evidence of the senses. If you are ready to stop attracting and start occupying, if you are ready to assume the throne rather than petition for it, then stay with me until the end. Subscribe to this channel, Sacred Logic, and comment below the words "I assume the crown." This is not a casual declaration. It is a verbal contract with the law. You are telling the universe that you are no longer a beggar at the gates. You are claiming sovereignty. The comment section will become a registry of new kings and queens, and the algorithm will carry this transmission to those who are ready to stop waiting and start reigning. This is the moment you stop being a student of manifestation and become a master of assumption. Neville Goddard taught a principle so radical that it offends the rational mind. Assumption, though false, if persisted in, will harden into fact. This is the central concept, the axis upon which the entire teaching rotates. Reality is not fixed concrete. It is liquid light, a substance that has not yet decided what it is. Your assumption is the mold. If you assume "I am unwanted," the liquid reality pours into that mold and hardens into rejection, betrayal, loneliness, the cold shoulder of the world. If you assume "I am the prize," The liquid reality pours into that mold and hardens into admiration, opportunity, lovers who compete for your attention, doors that open before you knock. You're not discovering the truth about yourself. You're not uncovering a destiny that was written in the stars. You are creating the truth moment by moment, assumption by assumption. This is not positive thinking. Positive thinking is a coat of paint over a rotting structure. Assumption is the blueprint itself. When you assume, you are not lying to yourself. You are issuing a command to the creative forces that govern manifestation. The universe does not fact-check. It does not consult your bank account or your medical records or your relationship history. It consults only your dominant assumption, the role you have cast yourself in, the identity you wear most consistently. If you walk through life assuming you are unlucky, the universe says yes, you are unlucky, and it arranges circumstances to prove you right. If you walk through life assuming you are favored, the universe says, yes, you are favored, and it bends probability in your direction. This is not mysticism. This is mechanism. It is a law as reliable as gravity, as indifferent as mathematics. The mistake most people make is that they assume based on evidence. They look at their current circumstances and say, I am poor, therefore I will assume I am poor. But this is backwards. Your current circumstances are the hardened facts of yesterday's assumptions. They are echoes, not causes. If you continue to assume based on what you see, you lock yourself into an infinite loop. The poor man assumes poverty, which hardens into more poverty, which reinforces the assumption of poverty. The cycle is unbreakable until you dare to assume against the evidence. You must assume the opposite of what your senses report. You must assume the wish fulfilled while the wish is still invisible. This is the test, this is the initiation. Can you hold an assumption that contradicts every fact in your life? Can you wear the crown while sitting in rags? If you can, the rags will dissolve. The crown will remain. Neville insisted that imagination creates reality, but he did not mean daydreaming. He meant assumptive imagination, the kind of imagination that occupies a state so fully that it forgets it is imagining. When you imagine yourself into the wish fulfilled with such intensity that you feel the relief, the satisfaction, the naturalness of it, you are no longer imagining. You are assuming. And assumption, because it is sustained, because it is repeated, because it is lived in the inner world, eventually impresses itself upon the outer world. The outer world has no choice. It is a mirror. It reflects what you assume. If you assume I am healed, your body must heal. If you assume I am loved, love must appear. The timing may vary, the path may surprise you, but the end is certain. Assumption always hardens into fact. Consider the nature of a mold. A mold does not argue with the substance poured into it. It does not say, I am only a mold I cannot create. It simply holds a shape, and the substance, obedient and impersonal, takes that shape. You are the mold. Your assumption is the shape you hold. The substance of reality, formless and infinite, pours into you constantly. What shape are you holding? Are you holding the shape of lack, of fear, of unworthiness? Then that is what will harden. Are you holding the shape of abundance, of confidence, of lovability? Then that is what will harden. The substance does not care. It is neutral. It will become anything you consistently assume. This is why Neville said, you must be careful what you assume, for you will get it. Most people assume unconsciously. They inherit assumptions from their parents, their culture, their past traumas. They walk around holding invisible molds they did not choose, and they wonder why their lives feel predetermined. Why they keep attracting the same patterns, the same types of people, the same failures. They do not realize they are assuming. They think they are victims of fate. But there are no victims in the law of assumption. There are only unintentional creators, people who are molding reality without knowing it. The moment you become conscious of assumption, you become dangerous. You realize you can change the mold at any time. You can assume health in the middle of sickness. You can assume wealth in the middle of poverty. You can assume love in the middle of loneliness. And if you persist, the assumption will harden. The facts will change to match the mold. Neville taught that an assumption is a fact in the making. It is not yet visible, but it is already real in the only place that matters. consciousness. Consciousness is the only reality. The outer world is shadow effect delay. When you assume, you are changing consciousness, and when consciousness changes, the shadow must follow. There is a lag, a gap between the assumption and the manifestation, and this gap is where most people fail. They assume for a day, a week, a month, and when they do not see immediate results, they abandon the assumption. They return to the old mold. They say, "It didn't work." But the assumption was working. It was hardening. They simply did not persist long enough for the hardening to complete, for the inner fact to become the outer fact. Persistence is the secret. Neville called it daring to assume. It is a dare because it requires you to hold an assumption in the face of contradictory evidence, in the face of mockery, in the face of your own doubt. It is a dare because it asks you to live in two worlds simultaneously, the world of the senses, which says no, and the world of imagination, which says yes. The master of assumption learns to privilege the inner world. He learns to treat his assumption as more real than his circumstances. He learns to say, "My bank account shows 0, but I assume I am wealthy, and therefore I am wealthy. The 0 is a lie. My assumption is the truth." This sounds insane to the rational mind. But the rational mind has never created anything. It only observes, categorizes, limits. Assumption creates. When you assume, you are not hoping, you are not wishing, you are not trying, you are stating, you are declaring, you are occupying. Assumption is a present tense reality. It is not "I will be" or "I want to be." It is "I am." When Neville wanted to go to Barbados but had no money, he did not assume "I will go to Barbados someday." He assumed "I am in Barbados." He felt the tropical air. He heard the ocean. He walked the streets of Bridgetown in his imagination until Barbados felt more real than New York. And then, seemingly out of nowhere, circumstances arranged themselves. A friend offered to pay for the trip. The assumption hardened into fact. This is not a miracle. This is mathematics. The law of assumption is as precise as the law of gravity. Drop the assumption, and it will fall into manifestation. The implications of this are staggering. If assumption hardens into fact, then you are never stuck. You are never trapped by your past, your genetics, your bank account, your diagnosis, your reputation. You are only trapped by your current assumption. Change the assumption, and you change the trajectory. This is why Neville said that the only thing worth praying for is a change in consciousness. Do not pray for money. Assume you are wealthy. Do not pray for health. Assume you are healthy. Do not pray for love. Assume you are loved. The prayer is the assumption. The assumption is the answer. The outer world is just the printout, the receipt, the confirmation of what you already are in consciousness. The liquid light of reality is pouring through you right now. It is pouring through every person on this planet, every moment of every day. The question is, what mold are you holding? What assumption are you persisting in? Are you assuming limitation, or are you assuming possibility? Are you assuming victim, or are you assuming victor? The light does not judge, it simply fills the mold. If you are dissatisfied with the facts of your life, do not blame the light. Do not blame the universe. Do not blame other people. Look at the mold. Look at your assumptions. They are invisible, but they are the cause of everything visible. Change the mold, persist in the new shape, and watch as the light hardens into a new fact, a new life, a new you. Neville's promise is absolute. Assumption, though false, if persisted in, will harden into fact. This means there is no circumstance so fixed that it cannot be changed. There is no condition so solid that it cannot be dissolved. There is no future so determined that it cannot be rewritten. You are not a leaf blown by the wind of fate. You are the sculptor, and reality is the clay. The moment you assume, the clay begins to move. The moment you persist, the clay begins to harden. And when the hardening is complete, the world will look at you and say, "You are so lucky." But you will know the truth. You did not get lucky. You assumed. And assumption always hardens into fact. The logic of assumption is best understood through the analogy of the method actor. A great actor does not pretend, he becomes. He assumes the limp, the accent, the history, the psychology of the character until he is the character. Until there is no separation between the actor and the role. When Daniel Day-Lewis played Abraham Lincoln, he did not walk onto the set and say, "I am Daniel pretending to be Lincoln." He walked onto the set as Lincoln. He thought as Lincoln. He carried Lincoln's sorrow, Lincoln's weariness, Lincoln's moral weight. The other actors did not have to pretend he was the president. They felt it. They responded to it. The assumption was so total that it infected the entire environment. This is the power of assumption. It is contagious. It rewrites the script for everyone around you. The world is your stage. If you assume the role of the victim, the world throws rocks. People will criticize you, betray you, overlook you, because you are broadcasting the frequency of victimhood. You are wearing the costume, speaking the lines, carrying the energy of someone who is meant to suffer. And the universe, which is a perfect responder, casts you in dramas that confirm your role. You will attract the bully, the cheater, the job that undervalues you, the lover who abandons you. Not because you are cursed, but because you are acting the part. The world is responding to your assumption. It is giving you the scenes that match your character. If you want different scenes, you must assume a different character. If you assume the role of the master, the world bows. People will defer to you, seek your approval, offer you opportunities because you are broadcasting the frequency of mastery. You carry yourself differently. You speak with quiet authority. You do not ask for permission. You grant it. You do not wait to be chosen. You choose. And the world, which has no will of its own, rearranges itself around your assumption. Doors open, obstacles dissolve. The right people appear at the right time. This is not charisma. This is not confidence. This is assumption. You have assumed the throne, and the universe, which is a reactive mechanism, must treat you as royalty. It has no choice. It mirrors what you assume. Neville taught that the world is a mirror, but it is not a mirror that reflects your face. It is a mirror that reflects your assumptions about yourself. If you assume you are powerless, the world will present you with situations that require you to beg, to plead, to settle. If you assume you are powerful, the world will present you with situations that require you to lead, to decide, to command. The circumstances are different, but they are both reflections. The mirror does not create, it only shows. If you do not like what you see in the mirror, do not try to change the reflection. Change what you are assuming, and the reflection will change automatically. This is the unshakable logic. The outer is always the echo of the inner. The world is always the effect of consciousness. Consider how people respond to you. Do they interrupt you, ignore you, dismiss your ideas? Or do they listen, lean in, remember your name? Their behavior is not random. It is a response to your assumption. If you assume you are insignificant, you will be treated as insignificant. You will be overlooked in meetings, forgotten at social gatherings, passed over for promotions. Not because you are actually insignificant, but because you are assuming it. And assumption is magnetic. It pulls people into your narrative. If you assume you are important, you will be treated as important. People will remember what you said. They will quote you. They will make space for you. The assumption is the signal. The world is the receiver. This is why affirmations often fail. Affirmations are words, assumptions are states. You can say "I am confident" 1,000 times, but if you are assuming you are insecure, the assumption will override the affirmation. The words are surface. The assumption is depth. The world does not respond to what you say. It responds to what you are, and what you are is determined by what you assume. Neville did not teach affirmations. He taught assumption. He taught you to enter the state, to live in the state, to persist in the state until the state becomes your nature. When the assumption becomes natural, the affirmation is unnecessary. You do not need to tell yourself you are confident. You simply are. The method actor does not need to remind himself he is the king. He has assumed the king so fully that he forgets he is acting. He walks with the king's posture. He speaks with the king's authority. He expects the king's treatment, and he gets it. Not because he is the king, but because he has assumed he is, and assumption, when total, is indistinguishable from fact. This is the secret Neville revealed. You do not need to become the thing you desire. You only need to assume it. The assumption is the becoming. The moment you assume, you are. The manifestation is just the world catching up to your assumption, the reflection finally matching the face. The reactive mechanism of the world is perfect. It does not make mistakes. It does not play favorites. It does not reward the good and punish the bad. It simply responds. If you assume you are unlucky, it will arrange unlucky circumstances. If you assume you are blessed, it will arrange blessed circumstances. The mechanism is neutral. It is a servant, not a judge. This is why Neville said, "You are free to choose what you shall assume, but you are not free to alter the fruit of your assumption." Once you assume, the mechanism engages. The gears turn. The world begins to mold itself around your assumption. You cannot assume poverty and manifest wealth. You cannot assume sickness and manifest health. The fruit always matches the assumption. Most people are unaware that they are acting. They think their behavior is natural, that their reactions are justified by circumstances. But Neville revealed that there are no justified reactions. There are only assumed roles. The person who is always angry is not angry because the world is unjust. He is angry because he has assumed the role of the victim. And the victim is always angry. The person who is always joyful is not joyful because the world is kind. She is joyful because she has assumed the role of the beloved. And the beloved is always joyful. The world did not make you angry or joyful. Your assumption did. Change the assumption and the emotion changes. Change the emotion and the world changes. The power of this teaching is that it makes you responsible. You can no longer blame your circumstances, your upbringing, your bad luck. You are the actor. You chose the role. If you do not like the role, choose a new one. Assume a new identity. Put on a new costume. Write new lines. The stage is the same. The other actors are the same. But when you change your assumption, their responses change. The boss who ignored you suddenly asks for your opinion. The lover who was cold suddenly warms. The opportunity that was closed suddenly opens. Nothing changed except your assumption, but your assumption is everything. It is the director, the script, the entire production. Neville's genius was in his simplicity. He did not ask you to change the world. He asked you to change your assumption about yourself in the world. And when that assumption changes, the world must change. It is a law. It is unshakable. The method actor knows that if he assumes the king, he will be treated as the king. He does not hope for it. He does not wish for it. He knows it. This is the certainty you must cultivate. When you assume, do not wonder if it will work. Know that it will. The world is a reactive mechanism. It has no choice but to respond to your assumption. You are not attracting, you are commanding. And the universe, perfect in its obedience, bows. The required state for the law of assumption to operate is what can only be called delusional confidence. To the world, you look insane. To the law, you are the sanest person alive. You must value your internal evidence more than the external facts. This is the mental preparation, the calibration of consciousness that precedes all successful assumption. You must reach a point where your imagination feels more real than your circumstances, where the inner conversation is louder than the outer noise, where the wish fulfilled in your mind is more solid than the lack manifested in your life. This is not easy. This is not natural. This is not what you were taught. You were taught to trust your senses, to believe your eyes, to accept the facts. But Neville teaches the opposite. He teaches you to deny the evidence of the senses. Delusional confidence is not arrogance. It is not pretending. It is a deep, unshakable knowing that what you have assumed in imagination is already done in fact, even if the fact has not yet materialized in the three-dimensional world. It is the confidence of the seed that knows it will become the tree, even though it is still buried in the dark soil. It is the confidence of the sculptor who sees the statue in the block of marble before the first strike of the chisel. It is the confidence of the actor who feels the applause before the curtain rises. You must develop this confidence not through evidence, but through decision. You decide that your assumption is true, and then you refuse to be argued out of it by circumstances, by other people, by your own doubt. The world will test you. It will show you your empty bank account, your unchanged body, your silent phone. It will parade the facts in front of you like a prosecuting attorney laying out evidence in a trial. And it will say, "See, You were wrong. You are not wealthy. You are not healed. You are not loved. Give up the delusion. This is the moment where most people break. They look at the facts and they conclude that their assumption was a fantasy, a naive hope, a lie they told themselves. They abandon the state. They return to the old assumption, and the cycle continues. But the master of assumption does something radical. He looks at the facts and says, "These are lies. My assumption is the truth." This is the inversion of logic. In the normal world, facts determine beliefs. In the world of assumption, beliefs determine facts. You must live in this inversion until it becomes natural. You must train yourself to see the unseen as more real than the seen, to value the imagined as more solid than the manifested. This is what Neville meant when he said, "Walk by faith, not by sight." Faith is not hoping the thing will come. Faith is knowing the thing already is. It is assuming the end, occupying the state, living from the wish fulfilled even while the senses scream that it is not yet here. The senses are always late. They report the past. Your assumption reports the future. Which will you believe? To cultivate delusional confidence, you must practice internal authority. This means that you become the final judge of what is true about you, not your doctor, not your accountant, not your ex, not your parents. You. If you assume you are healthy, then you are healthy. Even if the test results say otherwise, the test results are reading yesterday's data. Your assumption is writing tomorrow's data. If you assume you are prosperous, then you are prosperous, even if your wallet is empty. The empty wallet is the echo of the old assumption. The new assumption is gestating a full wallet. It is already done in consciousness, and consciousness is the only reality that matters. The outer world is shadow. It will catch up. This does not mean you deny practical reality. It means you reinterpret it. You do not say, "I have no money," and pretend you are lying in gold coins. You say, "I have no money right now, but I assume I am wealthy, and therefore this lack is temporary, a bridge I am crossing on my way to abundance." You acknowledge the fact without bowing to it. You see it as a lag, not a limit. You see it as the old assumption crystallizing into its final form before it dissolves, making way for the new assumption to crystallize. This reinterpretation is critical. It allows you to hold two truths simultaneously, the truth of the senses and the truth of the assumption. And you privilege the latter. The mental preparation also requires that you become comfortable with contradiction. Your assumption will contradict your circumstances. Your inner knowing will contradict the outer appearance. Your feelings will contradict the facts. And you must be okay with this. You must be willing to live in the tension, the gap, the not yet manifested. This is the wilderness, the space between the old life and the new life. Most people cannot tolerate it. They need immediate confirmation. They need proof. They need the manifestation to arrive quickly so they can stop feeling crazy. But the master knows that the gap is sacred. It is the gestation period. It is where the assumption is hardening. You do not dig up the seed to check if it is growing. You trust the process. You trust the law. Neville taught that consciousness is the only reality. Everything else is a projection of consciousness. If this is true, and it is, then the only thing you need to change is your assumption about yourself. You do not need to change your circumstances. You do not need to manipulate people or orchestrate events. You only need to assume the state you desire, and the circumstances will rearrange themselves to match that state. This is the simplicity and the difficulty of the law. It is simple because it requires only one change, the assumption. It is difficult because holding that assumption in the face of contradictory evidence feels like walking on water. It defies logic. It defies reason. It defies the consensus reality. But it works. To the world, you look crazy. You are claiming to be something you are not. You are wearing a crown when you live in a shack. You are speaking as an authority when you have no credentials. You are acting as if you have already won when the scoreboard shows you are losing. The world does not understand. It thinks you are deluded, arrogant, out of touch. But you know something the world does not. You know that the outer world is not the cause. It is the effect. You know that your assumption is the cause. And you know that if you persist in the assumption, the effect must change. The world will call you delusional. The law will call you awake. Delusional confidence is the bridge between the old world and the new. It is the state you occupy while the facts are still catching up. It is the feeling of being wealthy before the money arrives, of being loved before the lover appears, of being healed before the symptoms disappear. It is living in the end, not in the means. It is not asking how will this happen, but declaring it is already done. The how is not your concern. The how is the universe's job. Your job is to assume, to persist, to remain faithful to the inner conviction even when the outer world provides no evidence. This is the test. This is the initiation. And if you pass, the law rewards you with the manifestation of every assumption you have dared to hold. The execution of the law of assumption is called the Identity Overlay Protocol. This is the precise mechanism by which you wear the new reality like a suit until it fuses to your skin, until you cannot tell where the assumption ends and your identity begins. It is a three-step process, and each step must be executed with precision. The first step is the claim. You must stop asking, "Can I have this?" and start wearing the name tag. This is the internal declaration, the moment you announce to yourself and to the law that you are no longer who you were. You are now the person who has the thing, who is the thing. If you desire wealth, the claim is, "I am the owner of this business." If you desire love, the claim is, "I am the husband of this woman." If you desire recognition, the claim is, "I am the award-winning author." You put the name tag on mentally. You do not ask permission. You take the identity. The claim is not a future statement. It is a present declaration. You do not say, "I will be." You say, "I am." This is critical. The subconscious mind, which is the gateway to manifestation, does not understand future tense. It only understands now. When you say, "I will be wealthy," the subconscious registers, "I am not wealthy now," and it perpetuates the lack. When you say, "I am wealthy," the subconscious registers, "Wealth is my current state," and it begins to construct the circumstances that match that state. The claim is the seed instruction. It is the command you issue to the creative forces. Make it clear, make it present, make it definite. Do not hedge, do not qualify, do not say, "I think I am," or "I hope I am." Say, "I am," and mean it with every fiber of your being. Step 2 is the sensory anchor. Assumption without sensation is weak. It is intellectual, theoretical, easy to abandon. But assumption with sensation is powerful. It roots the claim in the body, in the nervous system, in the fabric of experience. Neville taught that you must feel the wish fulfilled. But feeling is not emotion. Feeling is sensory detail. If you were wealthy, what would you touch? The steering wheel of a luxury car, smooth and cool under your palms, the silk of expensive sheets sliding against your skin as you wake in your penthouse, the weight of a gold watch on your wrist. In imagination, touch these things. Ground the assumption in the senses. Make it tactile. Make it real. The sensory anchor works because the subconscious mind cannot distinguish between a real experience and a vividly imagined one. When you imagine touching the steering wheel, your brain fires the same neural pathways as if you were actually touching it. When you imagine the weight of the watch, your nervous system registers the sensation. The body believes the imagination, and when the body believes, the assumption deepens. It moves from the head to the heart, from the mind to the cells. You are no longer thinking the assumption, you are living it. This is the difference between visualization and assumption. Visualization is watching a movie. Assumption is being in the movie. Do not make the sensory anchor complicated. Choose one or two sensations that imply the wish fulfilled and return to them repeatedly. If you desire health, feel the sensation of walking without pain, of breathing deeply and easily, of looking in the mirror and seeing vitality in your eyes. If you desire love, feel the sensation of a hand on your shoulder, of a voice saying, "I love you," of warmth beside you in bed. The more specific the sensation, the more powerful the anchor. Specificity creates reality. Vagueness creates confusion. The law responds to clarity. Give it a clear instruction in the language of the senses, and it will deliver the corresponding fact. Step 3 is the persistent mood. This is the invisible perfume, the energy signature, the frequency you carry. It is the mood of the wish fulfilled. If you were wealthy, what mood would you carry? Not excitement, because excitement implies surprise, and surprise implies, I did not expect this. The mood of wealth is relief and satisfaction. It is the quiet confidence of someone who has arrived, who no longer needs to prove anything, who is at ease. If you were loved, what mood would you carry? Not desperation, because desperation is the mood of lack. The mood of love is contentment and security. It is the feeling of being held, of being seen, of being enough. Carry this mood like a perfume. Wear it everywhere. It is invisible, but everyone smells it and reacts to it. The persistent mood is what Neville called living in the end. You do not live in the hope of the end. You live in the end itself. You wake up in the mood of the wish fulfilled. You go to work in the mood of the wish fulfilled. You fall asleep in the mood of the wish fulfilled. You do not break character. The mood is the thread that holds the assumption together. Without the mood, the claim is just words, and the sensory anchor is just imagination. But with the mood, the assumption becomes a living state, a continuous broadcast, a signal that the universe cannot ignore. The mood tells the law, this is who I am now. Deliver the matching circumstances. The post technique is the final component of the protocol. When you look in the mirror and see the old you, laugh. Do not panic. Do not spiral into doubt. Do not think, the assumption is not working. Instead, say to yourself, that is an old photograph I have already changed. The reflection you see is the past. It is the crystallized form of the old assumption, the one you are in the process of replacing. It is like looking at a photograph from 10 years ago. You do not panic when you see your younger face in a photograph. You know that is not who you are now. Treat your current reflection the same way. It is outdated data. Your new assumption is uploading. The mirror will update soon. This post technique is crucial because it prevents you from reassuming the old state. Most people assume the new state for a few hours or a few days, and then they look at their circumstances and reassume the old state. They see the lack and think, I am still lacking. They see the sickness and think, I am still sick. And in that moment, they cancel the new assumption and reactivate the old one. The cycle restarts. But if you treat the old circumstances as an old photograph, you do not reassume. You remain in the new state. You hold the claim. You revisit the sensory anchor. You carry the persistent mood. And you laugh at the mirror because you know it is lying. It is showing you the past. You are living in the future. The identity overlay protocol is simple, but it is not easy. It requires discipline. It requires that you return to the assumption dozens of times a day, especially in the beginning, when the old state is strong and the new state is weak. But with repetition, the new state strengthens. The assumption begins to feel natural. The claim becomes automatic. The sensory anchor becomes vivid without effort. The persistent mood becomes your default setting. And one day, you will realize you are no longer wearing the assumption. You are the assumption. The identity has fused. The overlay is complete. And the outer world, faithful mirror that it is, will reflect the new you. The protocol is not magic. It is mechanics. And it works. The fatal mistakes in the law of assumption are the traps that collapse the state before the assumption can harden. The first and most deadly mistake is the reality check. This is the moment you assume you are rich, and then you check your bank app and see $10. The logic police, the voice of reason and evidence, screams in your head, "You are a liar, you are not rich, look at the proof." And in that moment, if you believe the logic police, you arrest yourself. You cancel the assumption, you re-enter the old state, you undo all the work. Neville warned that reason is the enemy. Reason looks at the facts and says, this is true. Imagination looks at the assumption and says, this is true. You must choose which voice to obey. If you obey reason, you remain locked in the old reality. If you obey imagination, you unlock the new reality. The $10 in your bank account is the echo of the past. It is the hardened fact of an old assumption, the one you held yesterday, last week, last year. It is the crystallized form of I am poor. But that assumption is dead. You have assumed a new state. I am wealthy. The new assumption is now the cause. It is gestating the future. The $10 is not evidence that the assumption is false. It is evidence that the old assumption finished manifesting. The new assumption has not finished yet. It is in process. The mistake is treating the $10 as the final word, as the ultimate truth. It is not. It is a lag. It is a delay. It is the gap between the assumption and the manifestation. If you panic during the gap, you abort the manifestation. This is where most people fail. They cannot tolerate the gap. They assume for a day, a week, a month, and when they do not see results, they conclude the law does not work. But the law is always working. The mistake is in the impatience, the need for immediate proof. Neville taught that an assumption, if persisted in, will harden into fact. But persistence means holding the assumption through the gap, through the silence, through the contradictory evidence. It means saying to the logic police, "You are reading old data. My assumption is the new data. I will trust the new data, even though it has not yet printed." This is faith, not blind faith, but informed faith. Faith based on the understanding that consciousness is cause and the world is effect. The second sub-mistake within the reality check is the comparison trap. You assume you are successful and then you see someone else's success on social media and you think, they have it and I don't. The assumption failed. But this is a misunderstanding. The other person's success is the manifestation of their assumption. It has nothing to do with yours. The universe is not a limited pie where one person's slice diminishes yours. The universe is infinite. There is room for everyone's assumption to harden. When you compare, you re-enter the frequency of lack. You assume I am not there yet, and that becomes the new assumption. You cancel the original assumption of success. Comparison is not neutral. It is a state. And if you enter it, you manifest from it. The antidote to the reality check is the practice of denial. Neville taught that you must deny the evidence of the senses. This does not mean you pretend the $10 is not there. It means you reinterpret it. You say, the $10 is what remains of the old assumption. It is dissolving. My new assumption of wealth is solidifying. I do not arrest myself for holding an assumption that contradicts the senses. I am not a liar. I am a creator. I am assuming the end before the means appear. This is not delusion. This is how the law works. You must become comfortable with the contradiction. You must learn to hold the tension between this is what I see and this is what I am. And you must privilege the latter. Mistake number 2 is the trying effort. This is the mistake of straining, of forcing, of pushing the assumption into existence. If you are trying to assume, you are not assuming. Assumption is effortless. It is like putting on a coat. You do not try to wear a coat. You do not grunt and sweat and flex your muscles to wear a coat. You simply put it on. It is natural. It is easy. If you find yourself trying, you are not in the state. You are outside the state, looking in, attempting to grab it, to force yourself into it. But the state is entered by relaxation, not by effort. You must let go. You must allow. You must slip into the assumption the way you slip into sleep, without force, without struggle, with a kind of surrender. The trying effort happens when you confuse the law of assumption with the law of attraction. In the law of attraction, you send out energy and wait for the universe to respond. There is effort in the sending, in the visualizing, in the affirming. You feel like you are doing something, and the doing feels like work. But in the law of assumption, you are not sending anything. You are being something, you are occupying a state. And occupancy is passive. It is restful. It is the difference between trying to sleep and falling asleep. When you try to sleep, you lie awake. When you stop trying and relax, sleep comes. Assumption is the same. When you try to assume, you block the assumption. When you relax into it, the assumption takes hold. Neville's command was, dare to assume that you are what you want to be, and you will become it. Notice the word dare. He did not say, work to assume, or force yourself to assume. He said, dare. Daring is bold, but it is not effortful. It is a leap, not a climb. You dare to occupy the state, even though the facts deny it. You dare to feel the wish fulfilled, even though the senses report lack. The daring is in the audacity, not in the effort. You are not building the assumption brick by brick. You are stepping into it fully formed. It already exists. You are simply choosing to occupy it. This is why Neville said, "Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled." He did not say create the feeling. The feeling already exists in the state. You access it by entering the state. The master's tip is to treat assumption like a coat. When you wake in the morning, you mentally put on the coat of the wish fulfilled. I am healthy. Put on the coat. I am wealthy. Put on the coat. I am loved. Put on the coat. You do not strain. You do not question whether the coat fits. You simply put it on and wear it throughout the day. If you find yourself slipping out of the coat, if you catch yourself reassuming the old state, you do not panic. You do not berate yourself. You simply put the coat back on. It is that simple. The simplicity is the secret. The law is not complicated. People complicate it by trying too hard, by adding steps, by making it a project. But assumption is instant. The moment you assume, you are in the state. The only practice is staying in the state. Another master's tip from Neville: you must be willing to give up the state you are in for the state you desire. Most people want to add the new state to the old state. They want to be both poor and wealthy, both sick and healthy, both unloved and loved. But this is impossible. You cannot occupy two states simultaneously. You must be willing to let go of the old identity, the old story, the old assumption. This is the sacrifice. Not a sacrifice of effort, but a sacrifice of identity. You must die to who you were in order to become who you desire to be. This death is effortless. It is a decision. You simply say, I am no longer that. I am this. And you assume the new state. The final tip is this: assumption is natural when you stop monitoring it. The moment you ask yourself, am I assuming correctly? You have stepped out of the assumption and into analysis. Analysis is the opposite of assumption. Assumption is first person. Analysis is third person. When you assume, you are living. When you analyze, you are watching. Do not watch yourself assume. Do not grade yourself. Do not keep score. Simply assume and forget about it. Go about your day. Let the assumption simmer in the background. Let it become the default, the baseline, the new normal. The less you think about it, the more it works. This is the paradox. The assumption that requires no effort is the assumption that manifests fastest. The connection to quantum physics reveals that the law of assumption is not mysticism. It is mechanics. In quantum mechanics, a particle exists in all possible states simultaneously until it is observed. This is called superposition. The electron is not in one place. It is in all places, all possibilities, all potential outcomes at once. It is a cloud of probability. But the moment you observe it, the moment you measure it, the cloud collapses. The particle chooses a position. The wave function collapses into a single reality. This is the observer effect. The act of observation determines the outcome. Before observation, all outcomes exist. After observation, one outcome is selected. You are the observer. Your consciousness is the instrument of observation. And just as the scientist collapses the wave function by observing the particle, you collapse the wave function of your life by assuming a specific state. All versions of you exist right now in the quantum field. The poor you, the rich you, the sick you, the healthy you, the lonely you, the beloved you. They are all there, all equally real, all waiting in superposition. Assumption is the act of collapsing the wave function into the specific version you choose. You are not creating the rich you. The rich you already exists. You are simply selecting it by assuming it. You are telling the quantum field, this is the version I choose to observe. Collapse into this. The implications are staggering. If all versions of you already exist, then you are never manifesting anything new. You are selecting from the infinite menu of possibilities. You are not building a life. You are choosing a life. The life you want already exists in the field. It is already done. Your job is not to create it, but to assume it, to occupy it in consciousness, to observe it into being. This is why Neville said, "It is done." He was not speaking metaphorically. He was speaking quantum mechanically. In the field of infinite possibility, the wish is already fulfilled. The assumption is the observation that collapses it into the three-dimensional world. The reason most people do not experience this is because they are observing the wrong version. They wake up and observe the struggling you. They check their bank account and observe the poor you. They look in the mirror and observe the unworthy you. And with each observation, they collapse the wave function into that version. They select it. They manifest it. They live it. Not because it is the only version, but because it is the version they are observing. The quantum field is neutral. It does not care which version you select. It simply delivers the version you are observing. And you observe with your assumption. Your assumption is your point of observation. This is why changing your assumption changes your life. You are not changing reality. You are changing which reality you are collapsing into. Imagine a television with infinite channels. Each channel is a different version of your life. One channel is poverty. One channel is wealth. One channel is sickness. One channel is health. The television is always on, always broadcasting all channels simultaneously. But you only see the channel you tune into. Your assumption is the dial. When you assume poverty, you tune into the poverty channel. When you assume wealth, you tune into the wealth channel. The channels do not change. You do. Your point of observation changes, and the channel you tune into becomes your experienced reality. The observer effect in quantum mechanics states that the observer is not separate from the observed. The act of observation influences the outcome. You are not a passive witness to your life. You are an active participant. Your consciousness is entangled with reality. What you assume, you observe. What you observe, you collapse. What you collapse, you experience. This is not philosophy. This is physics. The particle does not have a position until you observe it. Your life does not have a form until you assume it. The assumption is the observation. The observation is the collapse. The collapse is the manifestation. Neville understood this intuitively. He did not have the language of quantum mechanics, but he understood the principle. He said, "Consciousness is the only reality." In quantum terms, consciousness is the observer, and the observer determines the reality. He said, "Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and you will manifest it." In quantum terms, assume the state you desire, observe it in consciousness, and you will collapse the wave function into that state. The language is different, but the mechanism is identical. Neville was teaching quantum manifestation before quantum mechanics became mainstream. The practical application of this is profound. If all versions of you exist, then you are never stuck. You are never trapped by your past, your circumstances, your limitations. Those are just the versions you have been observing, but you can change your observation at any moment. You can assume a new state, observe a new version, collapse a new reality. The quantum field is infinite. It contains every possibility. The only limitation is your willingness to assume a different version. The only prison is your habitual point of observation. Change the observation, and you change the life. This is also why the gap exists. The moment you assume a new state, you begin to collapse the wave function into that state. But the collapse is not instant. There is a lag, a delay, a process of reorganization. The old reality, the one you were observing, does not disappear immediately. It fades. The new reality, the one you are now observing, does not appear immediately. It emerges. During the gap, both realities coexist. You are in transition. You are moving from one channel to another. The static, the blur, the confusion, this is the gap. If you panic during the gap and switch back to the old observation, you abort the collapse. But if you persist in the new observation, the collapse completes. The new reality stabilizes. The new version becomes your life. The quantum field does not judge your assumption. It does not ask if you deserve the version you are selecting. It does not check your credentials, your history, your worthiness. It simply responds to your observation. If you observe the abundant you, you get the abundant you. If you observe the lacking you get the lacking you. The field is mechanical. It is a servant, not a judge. This is the liberation and the responsibility. You are free to select any version, but you are responsible for the version you select. The life you are living is the version you have been observing. If you want a different life, observe a different version. assume a different state, collapse a different wave function. The anecdote that proves the law is Neville Goddard's own story of leaving the army. This is not theory. This is testimony. Neville was drafted into the United States Army during World War II. He did not want to be there. He wanted to be in New York, teaching his principles, living his life. He applied for a discharge. The application was rejected. The colonel in charge told him flatly, "You will serve your time, there is no way out." The physical facts were absolute. The military bureaucracy was a fortress. The paperwork said no. The authority said no. The circumstances said impossible. But Neville ignored the facts. He did not argue with the colonel. He did not petition or beg. He did not accept the rejection as final. Instead, he went into his imagination. He assumed he was in his apartment in New York. He did not visualize being in New York as a future event. He assumed he was there now. Every night, lying in his bunk in the barracks, he closed his eyes and felt the bed in his apartment. He heard the sounds of the city. He smelled the familiar air. He walked through the rooms of his apartment in imagination, touching the walls, sitting in his chair, feeling the relief and satisfaction of being home. He did not do this once or twice. He did this persistently, night after night, with total conviction. He lived in New York in consciousness while his body was still in the army. The physical facts did not change. He was still in the barracks. The colonel still said no. But Neville persisted in the assumption. He lived from the end. He occupied the state of the wish fulfilled. He did not ask, "How will this happen?" He did not devise a plan. He simply assumed the end and let the middle take care of itself. And then, 9 days later, something impossible happened. The same colonel who had rejected his application called him into the office. The colonel's demeanor had changed. He said, "I don't know why, but I am going to discharge you." The paperwork was processed. The discharge was granted. Neville was sent home. The circumstances had not changed on their own. The colonel did not wake up one morning and decide to be generous. The military did not suddenly relax its rules. What changed was Neville's assumption. He assumed he was in New York, and the assumption, because it was persisted in, hardened into fact. The outer world, which is always the mirror of consciousness, rearranged itself to match the inner assumption. The colonel, the bureaucracy, the entire system became instruments of the assumption. They were puppets moved by the invisible hand of Neville's consciousness. The assumption overrode the military hierarchy. This is not magic. This is the law. This story is critical because it proves that the law works even when the circumstances appear impossible, even when the authority says no, even when the facts are stacked against you. Neville did not have influence. He did not have connections. He did not have money. He only had an assumption. And the assumption was enough. This is the promise. If Neville could override the military with an assumption, you can override your circumstances with an assumption. If he could change the mind of a colonel, you can change the mind of the universe. The mechanism is the same. The power is the same. The only question is, will you persist? The lesson from Neville's story is that you must persist through the no. The first no is not the final answer. It is the test. It is the universe asking, do you really want this, or are you just wishing? If you accept the no, you prove you were only wishing. If you ignore the no and persist in the assumption, you prove you are assuming. And assumption, when total and persistent, always wins. The no is the old reality trying to maintain itself. It is the inertia of the past. But the past has no power over the assumption. The assumption is the future pressing into the present, and the future always defeats the past if you hold the assumption long enough. Neville's technique was simple. He did not complicate it. He did not add rituals or tools or intermediaries. He simply assumed the end. He felt himself in New York. He lived there in imagination. And he did this persistently until the outer world matched the inner state. This is the technique for every desire. Assume the end. Feel the wish fulfilled. Persist until it hardens into fact. Do not monitor the middle. Do not worry about the how. The how is not your job. Your job is to assume and to persist. The law will handle the rest. The discharge from the army is the proof that assumption overrides authority. that consciousness overrides circumstance, that the inner state overrides the outer fact. Neville did not fight the army, he did not rebel, he did not complain. He simply assumed a different reality, and the different reality manifested. This is the power available to you. You are not a victim of your circumstances. You are the creator of your circumstances. And the tool of creation is assumption. Assume the life you desire. Persist in the assumption, and watch as the life you assumed becomes the life you live. The synthesis of power is the realization that you are not bound by your history. Every failure, every rejection, every disappointment, every diagnosis, every loss. These are not chains. They are echoes. They are the hardened facts of old assumptions, the crystallized forms of states you once occupied but no longer need to occupy. You are not a prisoner of the past. You are only a prisoner of the present assumption, and the present assumption can be changed in an instant. The moment you assume a new state, the past loses its power. It becomes irrelevant. It becomes a story you used to tell, a channel you used to watch, a version you used to observe. But you are the observer, and you can change your observation at any time. This teaching is not about denying the past. It is about reinterpreting it. The past happened. The failures happened. The pain happened. But they do not define you. They define the version of you that was assuming lack, assuming unworthiness, assuming defeat. That version is not the only version. It is one possibility among infinite possibilities. And you are free to select a new possibility by assuming a new state. The past is fixed in time, but you are not fixed in the past. You are alive in the present, and the present is the only moment where assumption can operate. Assume now, and you change the trajectory of the future. The power of this realization is that it makes you sovereign. You are not waiting for permission. You are not waiting for the right time, the right circumstances, the right resources. You are assuming now regardless of conditions. The conditions are the effect, not the cause. You are the cause. Your assumption is the cause, and the cause does not need permission from the effect. The king does not ask the kingdom if he may rule. He assumes the throne and the kingdom bows. You are the king of your consciousness. Assume the throne of the state you desire, and your world will bow. The synthesis is also the understanding that there are no accidents. Everything you have experienced, you have assumed. Not consciously perhaps, but assumptively. You assumed the role of the victim, and the world gave you victimizing circumstances. You assumed the role of the unlovable, and the world gave you rejection. You assumed the role of the sick, and the world gave you sickness. This is not blame, this is clarity. If you assumed it, you can unassume it. You are not at the mercy of fate. You are the author of fate, and the pen is in your hand right now. The final synthesis is that assumption is instant, but manifestation is gradual. The moment you assume, the law engages. The gears begin to turn. The collapse begins. But the full manifestation, the full hardening of the assumption into fact, takes time. This is the gap. This is the wilderness. This is where faith is tested and persistence is proven. Do not judge the assumption by the gap. Judge it by the end. If you persist, the end will come. The assumption will harden. The fact will appear, and you will realize that the power was always yours. You were never powerless. You were only unaware. Stop attracting. Stop chasing. Stop begging. These are the postures of lack. And lack is an assumption. When you attract, you are assuming the thing is outside of you, and you must pull it toward you. When you chase, you are assuming the thing is running away from you, and you must catch it. When you beg, you are assuming you have no right to the thing and you must plead for it. These assumptions are the cause of your frustration. You are not attracting. You are repelling. You are not manifesting. You are perpetuating lack. The law does not respond to your words or your actions. It responds to your assumptions. And the assumption of lack manifests more lack. Assume. This is the message of empowerment. Assume you already have the thing. Assume you already are the person. Walk through the door of your desire and slam it shut behind you. Live there. Do not visit. Do not imagine. Occupy. Make the wish fulfilled your permanent residence. This is not pretending. This is not lying. This is assuming. and assuming is the highest form of truth because it creates truth. You are not discovering what is true about you. You are deciding what is true about you. And once you decide, the law must deliver the corresponding fact. The world will catch up, it always does. The world is slow, it is heavy. It is tied to the past, but it is also obedient. It is a mirror. And mirrors do not argue, they reflect. If you persist in the new assumption, the world will stop reflecting the old you and start reflecting the new you. It will catch up. The people will change. The opportunities will appear. The circumstances will align. Not because you forced them, but because you assumed them. And assumption, when total, is magnetic. It attracts the matching reality the way a tuning fork attracts the matching vibration. You are not a beggar. You are not a victim. You are not powerless. You are the creator of your experience, the architect of your reality, the author of your story. You have been taught to look outside for validation, for approval, for the thing you want. But the outside is empty. It is a projection. It is a screen. The power is inside. The power is your assumption. Change the assumption, and you change the projection. Change the projection, and you change the life. This is the law. This is the secret. This is the message Neville died trying to deliver. The empowerment is not in getting the thing. The empowerment is in realizing you never needed to get it because you can assume it. Assumption is instant ownership. The moment you assume you are wealthy in consciousness, and consciousness is the only reality. The outer wealth is just the confirmation, the receipt, the physical echo of the inner wealth. But the inner wealth is the real wealth. The outer love is just the confirmation of the inner love. The outer health is just the confirmation of the inner health. Stop chasing the confirmation. Occupy the reality. Live in the end. The confirmation will follow. This is the message of sacred logic. Logic teaches you to accept the facts. Sacred logic teaches you to create the facts. Logic says, this is what is. Sacred logic says, this is what I assume, and therefore this is what will be. Logic is the past. Sacred logic is the future. And the future is where you are going. Do not let the past hold you. Do not let the facts imprison you. You are not bound by logic. You are bound only by your assumptions, and your assumptions are yours to change. Neville spent his life teaching this one truth. You are what you assume you are, not what you hope to be, not what you try to be, what you assume. The assumption is the identity, and the identity is the destiny. If you assume you are small, you will live small. If you assume you are great, you will live great. The choice is always yours. The power is always yours. The only question is, what will you assume? Stop attracting. Start assuming. And watch as the universe rushes to confirm the new you. The challenge is the 24-hour acting challenge. This is the final test, the ultimate proof of your understanding. Pick a role. Choose the version of you that you desire to be. The successful entrepreneur, the confident artist, the beloved partner, the healed body, the abundant provider. Choose one. And for the next 24 hours, you will not break character. You will think as that person. You will speak as that person. You will walk as that person. You will eat, dress, breathe, and exist as that person. You will refuse to acknowledge the old version. You will refuse to entertain doubt. You will refuse to check the facts. For one day, you will assume the role so completely that you forget you are acting. This is not a game. This is a rehearsal for the rest of your life. If you can hold the assumption for 24 hours, you can hold it for a week. If you can hold it for a week, you can hold it for a month. And if you can hold it for a month, it will harden into fact. The assumption will become your nature. The role will become your identity. The act will become the reality. This is how the law works. It does not require years of practice. It requires persistence. It requires that you stay in character long enough for the character to become you. During the challenge, you will be tempted to break character. The old thoughts will return. The doubts will whisper. The facts will present themselves. The bank account will still show $10. The body will still show symptoms. The phone will still be silent. These are the tests. These are the moments where the assumption is proven or abandoned. If you break character, you lose. If you stay in character, you win. The challenge is not to change the facts in 24 hours. The challenge is to ignore the facts for 24 hours. And in that ignoring, you prove to yourself and to the law that you are serious, that you are committed, that you are assuming. Document the challenge. At the end of the 24 hours, write down what changed, not in the outer world, but in the inner world. How did you feel? How did you think? How did people respond to you? Did you notice a shift in energy, in confidence, in presence? The outer manifestation may not arrive in 24 hours, but the inner shift will. And the inner shift is the seed. The outer manifestation is the fruit. The seed always comes first. If you can plant the seed in 24 hours, you can grow the tree in the weeks and months that follow. The final call to action is this: subscribe to Sacred Logic. This channel is not entertainment. It is instruction. It is initiation. It is the transmission of the law in its purest, most precise form. If this video has opened your eyes, if it has shifted your understanding, if it has given you a glimpse of the power you possess, then you must continue the study. Subscribe. Turn on notifications. Become a regular student. The teachings will go deeper. The techniques will become more precise. The mysteries will be revealed, but only to those who are serious, who are committed, who are ready to assume the throne. Comment below, "I assume the crown," if you are ready to take sovereignty over your reality. This is not a casual comment. This is a declaration. It is a vow. It is a contract with the law. You are telling the universe, "I am no longer a subject. I am a sovereign. I am no longer waiting. I am occupying. I am no longer attracting. I am assuming." The comment section will become a registry of kings and queens, a hall of those who have stopped begging and started reigning. Your name will be recorded. Your declaration will be witnessed, and the law will respond. This is the end of the teaching and the beginning of the practice. Everything you need has been given. The central concept, the unshakable logic, the identity overlay protocol, the fatal mistakes, the quantum connection, the anecdote, the synthesis, the message, the challenge. You are equipped, you are prepared, you are empowered. The only thing left is the assumption. Will you assume? Will you dare to occupy the state of the wish, fulfilled in the face of contradictory facts? Will you persist through the gap, through the silence, through the tests? If you will, the law will reward you. The assumption will harden, the fact will appear, and you will know beyond all doubt that you are the creator, the architect, the king of your reality. Assume the crown. The throne is waiting.